I stole this guitar and eBay helped. Okay, the claims in this video are alleged.
Allegedly.
Okay, alleged. Thank you, lawyers. Like I have lawyers. So, on eBay, when I'm gonna buy something, I only bid once, and that is in the last 3 seconds of the auction. I wait till it ticks down all the way to 3 seconds, and then I click confirm bid, and then it does the whole processing thing. And I figure 3 seconds is long enough to get the bid in time without missing the auction. The benefit, of course, is that the other people who might be bidding on it have no idea they have competition, and you're sniping at the last minute and hopefully getting your best price without driving up the price throughout the auction's running time. The major pitfall is you only get one chance.
One shot.
So you only get one bid in.
One opportunity.
And because after you click confirm bid, there's like the rotating wheel and it's like processing. We're gonna figure out what happened. And after that period of time, it usually takes longer than 3 seconds. So if you click bid at 3 seconds, that's it. That's your only chance. But I have had a circumstance where I bid on something with those 3 seconds left, was outbid, and managed to bid again, which doesn't take 0 seconds. Like, you need to enter an amount. Sometimes it will autofill a new bid amount, like the next possible minimum bid. But anyway, there's no way for this all to transpire in just 3 seconds. But when I went to buy my 1935 Rickenbacher Electro Spanish guitar, this exact thing happened. I was told I lost the auction, but then was allowed to place one more bid, and I won it. And I feel bad for the person who I beat out. But I also could see how this could be a systemic problem with eBay. If they allow one more bid, then they get their cut of that additional dollar amount. And hundreds of thousands of auctions, a little bit more of every one of those adds up pretty quickly. Now, am I saying eBay is perpetrating a massive fraud in order to make millions and millions of more dollars? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there is a perceivable benefit to allowing additional bids. And in this case, the benefit was A, to eBay for getting another, whatever, 15% or whatever it adds up to in the end of probably another $50. And there's a benefit for me, is I got a 1935 Rickenbacher Electro Spanish. And 1935 is the very first year, and there are unique aspects of this particular mold that aren't seen in later years. Let's have a look. Now, this bridge is not original. It appears to be Purple Heart and a brass fret wire. I made that to better intonate the guitar. Super interesting detail about the patent number that's on the Rickenbacher. It is actually a patent that was awarded October 4th, 1932 by Arthur Primrose Young. And what the patent is a patent on the idea of creating a mold in which you can pour your instruments instead of making them out of wood or other materials. I guess Adolf Rickenbacher must have purchased the patent. You can see a single volume knob, and down on the bottom treble side is the input jack, or output jack, I should say. In the middle of the body, it is solid Bakelite, whereas on every later mold, there is additional weight removal there and a fifth center plate. There are holes underneath the bridge, which must be just additional weight relief, and they moved the volume knob around, and they added a tone knob later, and also they moved the output jack to the bass side, which is very annoying. It's in the way of the player. This was very common in the 30s on a lot of lap steels. They'll have a hardwired cord or the output jack coming out at the body side. The entire neck, including the frets and nut, of course, are all Bakelite molded in one piece. I actually did a fret crown on this, and yes, it's Rickenbacher, you little a-holes who say Rickenbacher.
Bach was a composer. Bach is pronounced just like it's spelled. There's no such thing as a Rickenbacher. It's a Rickenbacker. Grow up, learn to pronounce words correctly, then act accordingly.
Here you can see, yes, it's got a body through stringing and 2 bolts to hold the deck on, and some nice Grover tuners that still work surprisingly smoothly. And they tell you which side the top is, so that's handy. A note on the top being marked on those tuners. For the longest time, most tuning machines on old guitars had the gear on top of the worm gear, and they later figured out that's a bad design. It works better flipped, and so Grover made sure and let people know. Inside the original case here, we've got the original bridge, which allows for some intonation, but it was not working with the modern strings. I don't know if it was better with the old strings, and the original output cable. And this thing is beefy. Look at this. 2 screw-in diodes go in through that side. Ooh. And let's open up the other side. Made by the Carter Radio Company. Very beefy. Beefy. Fully braided cable, and let's see, can we see this? Carter Radio Company, Chicago, patent pending. The Rickenbacher Spanish electric guitar was just one of the many, many innovations that Adolf Rickenbacher was making in the 1930s. He also came out with a tenor electric guitar, both available with a Vibrola by Kaufman, who later worked with Fender at K&F. And there was even an electromechanical vibrato with a motor inside. And I'm not saying one's on the way, but there may be a video about this particular guitar in the future. On top of guitars, Rickenbacher also came out with a Bakelite and steel violin, upright bass. I've heard they even custom made an electric harp for Harpo Marx, but I've not been able to find any photographic evidence of this. There's also a cello version, and at least with the violin and the bass, there was an earlier version that was all Bakelite, but then later versions with steel pipes as the structural elements. I actually had the opportunity to go see one of the upright basses not that long ago and play it a little bit, even though I don't play upright bass. So here's a little bit of footage of that. Hey, cutie. Hi. So the story with this bass is it used to belong to Adolphus Alsbrook, who is a somewhat famous bass player who supposedly played with Benny Goodman, Guy Lombardo, and Stan Kenton. And possibly even gave lessons to Charles Mingus. I am considering doing a more thorough video about the early work of Rickenbacher and also the history of the electric bass. So either one of those may include more footage of this particular bass and all those other instruments. All that aside, let's get back to this 1935 Electro Spanish. Now you may be curious what this guitar sounds like, so let's find out together. Now I'm having some issues where the volume is lower. It's not the jack. If I put pressure on the pickup, the volume. So we're gonna have to open it up and figure that out. All right, let's see what it sounds like with some distortion. All right, let's try to figure out what in the H.
What the H?
Is going on with our output volume there. Why is it inconsistent? Ooh. I dropped the screw. I thought these magnets would be stronger. They're pretty weak. The output on this is crazy because the impedance of the coil somewhere in the vicinity of like 1.5k ohms, which versus modern pickups, which are typically, I don't know, closer to 10k. It is very low impedance. Okay, I was wrong. It's actually around 2.85k ohms, which is just shy of, say, a D'Armond Hershey bar pickup. But anyway, let's look in the belly of the beast. Here we've got a massive potentiometer, A317, a cardboard shim, I don't think this is going to tell us the solution to our problems. But as long as we're in here, let's hit it with some Lloyds.
Lloyds. Available only at the source.
This is pretty cool. You can see the fingerprints of the people who installed this. Oh, worth noting, the blue insulation was a limited time use at the Rickenbacher company, and so it can help you date your instruments, your lap steels, etc. There's only a few year period where this blue insulation is used. It's pretty tight. There's not a lot of space to get your Lloyds in. Now, I was hearing some grit on the slider, so this might help. Can't hurt. Well, time will tell, but I think it should help more than it hurts. Lloyds. It helps more than it hurts. Now, of course, I should assume this cardboard shim is just to eliminate any rattle that might have occurred between the metal and the plastic. And on these earlier versions, the upper plates are glued in place, I believe with animal glue, whereas in later models they would get screwed in. But the glue is held all this time. They're still firmly in place. So as you heard there, the problem persists, and so we're going to pull out the pickup and see if we can solve this. Because they have Bakelite frets, some people... How do you pronounce Bakelite? My neighbor said Bakelite, but I've always said Bakelite. Anyway, because of the Bakelite frets, some people suggest using flat wounds and hoping like that less texture will wear them a little bit less. So I bought some flats and we're going to try them out. Of course, I poked myself with a string. Pretty hard to see how pressing down on the magnet would increase the volume in any way. Here's a cute little detail. There's actually a little string tying the lead to the bobbin. Probably helped to keep it going for however many years this has been going. 90 years. I'm gonna be honest, there's nothing obvious, and I can't, for the life of me, figure out why this issue would persist. I'm gonna put it back together, put the flats on, and hope that just by taking it apart and putting it back together, somehow this issue is over. Another thing that helps in dating these pickups is these tabs on the side got patent numbers and patent pending numbers after a certain year. All right, picked up some Ernie Ball Slinky flat wounds from my buddy Jay at Paradise Guitars in Portland last time I was there. And the world's first and only cobalt flat. Whatever that means. I mean, I know what it means, but like, who is asking? Who cares? Cobalt. Are you excited about cobalt? I guess it's a pretty cool element. I got an antique sword from Toledo. I guess it's a dagger. It's so short, but... This isn't the video I was making for this week, but the video I was making for this week involves scratch building an entire acoustic guitar. And so I didn't want to cut corners. I am actually almost done. I built it in about 4 days, but I did cut a corner and I'm not happy with the results of that one corner I cut. It's literally a corner. And so I decided to put that project on pause and do this little Ricky video. Hey, Ricky! And also clean my house. Let me qualify that. I actually only cleaned one room of my house so far because when you're working and parenting and YouTubing full-time, some things fall by the wayside, like cleaning. I've also been doing some construction projects, which is a part of the next video as well. But here, let me show you my living room. It's clean. Except for, like I said, there's a construction project on the go, so I've got the gun out. But happy to have sanity in one room. Here's a little life hack. If you want to feel like a classy, basic, consumeristic, you can make your coffee at home in your old takeout cup. Classy, I'm a classy mother. Do you want a lesson in stringing a guitar? No? Too bad. I know a lot of you already know how to string a guitar, but based on the client guitars that come in, there are a lot of people that could still use a few pointers. The amount of string you need is largely based on the break angle of the neck and the amount of post space you have for wraps. So conventionally, you'll go like 2 tuner spacings, but these ones are pretty long, so we'll go about 1.5, and we'll just cut the string. We're going for this one here. Then we'll guide it in. Have a little tiny bit sticking out, not enough to make you bleed. Wrap one wrap over the post hole, and then the rest will go underneath. And this first one will put pressure down on the little tiny tab of string that you have coming out of the hole. And then you can tighten that up the rest of the way. Honestly, for the price you pay for these flats, it seems like a bit of a ripoff because only 3 of them are flat wound and the rest are all plain. In this case, anyway. I was cataloging all of the instances of 1935 Rickenbacher Spanishes I could find with the solid center block with no fifth plate, and I kind of got bored of it. But the highest serial number I came across without the fifth plate was B88. This is B66. And the lowest I saw was B12. I was really tempted to buy the B12. It was for sale on Reverb from a pawn shop. But you never know if the neck's going to be crazy bowed, and I can only afford to own one of these and keep it. So it was going to be like buy the B12 and sell this one, the B66. And because I've been vegan for 25 years, B12 seemed like a appropriate serial number for me. Because we're anemic. Side note / coincidence, cobalt is one of the key elements in vitamin B12. You want to keep tension on the string with your finger as you wind it. That way you can also guide it. And the posts furthest from the nut, you want to give them more windings than the one closest to the nut, because it's harder to get good break angle at that distance. And so you want it as low on the post as possible without running into the headstock. One thing this could definitely benefit from is a ground to the strings. Interestingly, if you ground the pickup and the strings, you get double grounding. But if you just ground the strings, you get nothing. So for the time being, I'm going to add a ground from the pickup to the strings. Ah, very nice. Okay, let's try this. Fucking sick. Okay, some final questions. Do you think eBay is perpetrating massive fraud and allowing extra bids past the auction time? And what do you think is causing this volume issue? If I just push down on the magnet, it gets louder. Sometimes it's not an issue at all. Any ideas on that? It seemed to possibly go away when I grounded the strings, so there could be something involved in grounding. Alas. Thank you for whoever watched this random video. I know it's not my typical repair or build video, but the next video, did you hear that fart? The next video is going to be a doozy. There is going to be a full acoustic build, and it's going to be unique, truly unique. I promise that, so stay tuned for next week's video.
This morning the sun is beautiful.